Federal Communications Commission, becoming the nanny police for freedom of speech in America. Now, I'm a second-generation broadcaster from Oregon, and I remember when the Fairness Doctrine was in place, and you didn't have a vigorous debate of public policy issues. And when we have a Justice Department that says it's okay to combine Sirius and XM into one because the marketplace has changed, then I don't understand why Senator Durbin's amendment is necessary and calls on splitting up ownership or doing something on the ownership side. And I think what's happened here is pretty clear. I think we have raised such a ruckus over the threat of the Fairness Doctrine coming back that they've now shut that door, as the senator said, and now they're going to come at it from the back door and through media ownership and other standards that the FCC will promulgate through regulation. So I don't think the fight's over, but today's a great victory on its face to stop the Fairness Doctrine from coming back. Now it's up to the House.
Thank you, Congressman. Questions?
Yeah, Todd Shields with Bloomberg. Forgive me, did your amendment succeed or fail, Senator?
It is succeeding as we speak. I just went down and checked the vote, and a number of the Democrats have parted company with some of their censors, and it looks like we'll succeed rather handily. I'm not sure what that final vote is going to be at this point.
And if the Durbin amendment also passes,
it has passed.
It has passed.
Yes.
So where does that come? So where does that leave us with them coming in through the back doors? You said.
As the congressman said, they're going to try to do this through the back door, this censorship, through what they call diversity of ownership. Now, what diversity of ownership means, no one has determined. A few years ago, it might have meant diversity of gender or diversity of race. But now it could mean diversity of sexual preference, diversity of opinions, diversity of political party. There are 14,000 radio stations across the country. And to turn this government loose on them, to make a decision at the government level of whether or not their ownership reflects the kind of diversity that we determine they should have, is un-American on its face. So this is something we need to fight, but it's more the philosophy of the majority right now that our freedoms should be centrally managed and that we should decide what people hear instead of the viewers and listeners.
And can I just add one thing to that, and that is this, that in the language of the Durbin Amendment, it talks about diversity in communication media ownership. We don't believe that term is defined. They don't say broadcast licensees. And so does this apply to the internet now? Does this apply to bloggers? Does this apply? Who does it apply to? And what does it mean? And how is the FCC going to interpret this new statutory language should it go into law? And I think those are issues that this, kind of why you like to have hearings and get input. This amendment just says shall promote diversity in communication media ownership.
Is that not the 1934 Communications Act, diversity and localism? Are you saying the 34 Communications Act is wrong?
Well, I think I'm not a great student of the 34 Communications Act, but there's always been a public interest obligation. You have to do quarterly issues reports and put them in your public file. You know, if you're going to serve your community, you go out and ascertain what's going on. But the real difference, and there are caps now on ownership. I can only own so many radio stations in my markets, or so many TV stations. There are ownership caps today.
There have been caps on ownership, but as far as I know, there has never been anything in law with language like this that would give us as a government the right to determine if the ownership of a particular station reflected the diversity that we preferred. It is that kind of vague language that sets the ACLU and the whole system against a private small business that cannot possibly meet some arbitrary federal standard.
Congressman, how will this play out on the House side?
Well, we're yet to know, and that's why we'll have to see. When we've had a straight up and down vote, as we did on the appropriations bill a year or so ago, to preclude the FCC from spending money to put the Fairness Doctrine back in place, we had over 300 members vote for it. When we attempted to bring the Broadcaster Freedom Act up for a straight up and down vote, the Speaker and the leadership have refused to allow it. And in fact, we even tried a discharge petition, which also, of course, broke out along party lines, as they tend to do, but we couldn't break through to get to 218 there. So we'll see. I think this will be a huge test about freedom of speech that will occur in the House when this measure comes up for a vote.
The irony of all this is if you hear the debate on the floor, The senators will say something that's in it that's not, and something it does that it doesn't do. It's just a page that's pretty clear. We've gotten strong legal opinions on what this amendment does. But this afternoon, all across the country, not only on the news shows that are here today, but all the radio talk shows can look at what we actually voted on and explain it to the American people, and they can be more informed. And that's what senators and congressmen here today don't want, for people to know the truth about what we're doing.
All right, Senator.